Hello and welcome to this online edition of OU Nightly. I'm Tori King, coming to you from Edmond, Oklahoma. While COVID-19 keeps us off our campus and out of our regular studio, we are dedicated to bringing you this newscast from home. We begin with Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt's plan to reopen the state. At a press conference, Governor Stitt announced how this will work. The first phase begins on Friday, April 23rd. On that date, places like nail and hair salons, barbershops, and groomers can open by appointment only. On May 1st, if cases remain on the downward trend, restaurant dining rooms, movie theaters, gyms, and churches will be able to reopen. 14 days later, places like bars would also be able to open. Stitt says all businesses and employers are encouraged to follow social distancing guidelines and wear masks when appropriate.
Places of worship can reopen for in-person meetings or worship, provided that staff and volunteers wear masks when interacting with the public. They abstain from serving food or coffee, sanitize between services, and keep their nursery areas closed.
Although Governor Kevin Stitt says he is following guidelines from the White House, he also says that if the number of COVID-19 cases grow, he will take appropriate measures. There are many Oklahomans who say it is too early to safely open at this time. Norman Representative and Oklahoma House Minority Leader Emily Virgin is one of those. She released a statement shortly after the governor's press conference. She said, in part, the governor's decision to reopen Oklahoma's businesses early comes from a place of fear, and it is understandable for him to be worried about the long-term economic effects of this pandemic. She also says that the CDC has issued clear guidelines on when states should begin to reopen, and at this moment, Oklahoma does not meet those criteria. She finished her statement by saying she urges the governor to reconsider until better data is available. As of today, there are 2,894 positive cases of coronavirus in the Sooner State, a 3.1% increase from Tuesday. 170 Oklahomans have died from the virus, a 3.7% increase from Tuesday as well. Some good news, though, over 1,700 Oklahomans have recovered from COVID-19. The story hits a little closer to home. 2020 has become the year of uncertainty for those in the oil industry. ACS Steel in Oklahoma shares this uncertainty. The small company of 40 employees builds parts for oil refineries and companies, but business is down by 80%. Dewey Bartlett's family has been in the oil business as long as Oklahoma's been a state, and he knows oil helped build the city he was the mayor of.
This is without a doubt the worst I've ever experienced as far as the price of oil dropping so sharply, and the recovery is going to be extremely difficult.
Oil is a big part of Oklahoma's economy. The state takes in millions of dollars in revenue for its sale. When revenue goes down, there's less money for schools, road projects, and even the state's emergency savings accounts. South of the Red River, Texas is reporting more than 21,000 cases of COVID-19 with 543 deaths. That's a nearly 6% increase in cases and a 4.3% increase in deaths from Tuesday. An estimated 7,341 Texans have recovered from this virus. COVID-19 is affecting more than just states. There are currently coronavirus cases on 26 U.S. Navy warships as well. A senior Navy official says the ships with cases are docked or in a maintenance yard. The Navy's not releasing the names of the ships impacted or the exact number of cases. They say this is due to security concerns. As of Wednesday morning, over 3,500 U.S. service members have tested positive for the virus, including 2 deaths. And today's Earth Day, and in honor of the holiday, let's talk about the environment. As Australia's Great Barrier Reef suffers from climate change, a special technique is being tested to save the threatened corals. It's called cloud brightening. Researchers told Forbes magazine that they've sprayed microscopic seawater droplets into the air. When they evaporate, they leave nano-sized sea salt crystals, which brighten existing clouds. It also deflects solar energy away from the reef waters. The testing was done right before the restrictions were imposed because of COVID-19. Next year, the team hopes to scale up the size of the trial. The seas are officially empty of large cruise ships. The last major cruise ship to sail the seas since the COVID-19 outbreak began has officially docked in Genoa, Italy. According to a regional council member, the Costa Deliciosa docked in the port of Genoa around 1:15 p.m. local time today after having issues with rough seas on its first docking attempt yesterday. Healthcare personnel were prepared to board the ship shortly after all necessary checks had taken place in order to remove the body of a woman who died on April 6th. Officials stated that a coronavirus test will be conducted posthumously, but that the woman's death is not thought to be related to the coronavirus. At this time, the ship does not have any suspected cases of COVID-19, and this afternoon, the first 540 passengers are set to disembark. The remaining 897 will disembark tomorrow. A statement issued by the regional government assures that all necessary health checks will be performed upon arrival, and all passengers will be provided safe transportation and return to their respective countries of residence. In other news, Tyson is shutting down its largest pork plant in Waterloo, Iowa until further notice. This plant employs more than 2,800 people. This comes after a local county official urged Tyson to close the plant voluntarily after a suspected COVID-19 outbreak. The county health department announced Tuesday that 182 of the county's 374 cases are linked to the plant. Tyson officials say they decided to halt production due to worker absences, COVID-19 cases, and community concerns. The company says its workers will be paid while the plant is closed and that a date to reopen has not yet been set.
Hey everybody, it's Marissa Newzo, and we have a lot of weather to talk about. So first, let's talk about those rain totals. In the past 24 hours, a lot of places have seen over an inch of rain. Ardmore even seeing 1.77 inches of rain here in the past 24 hours. So that's not all the rain we're going to see. We are still currently under a severe thunderstorm watch, which means that any storms that come into the area over the next couple of hours could become severe. And this has even prompted the Storm Prediction Center to issue a severe weather outlook for today. That orange, dark orange color is a level 3 out of 5 risk. And that is really issued mostly for the potential for very large and damaging hail. There is still an opportunity for tornadoes and damaging winds, and of course lightning associated with storms this evening. But unlike last night's storms, these will wrap up a little bit faster. They'll be coming through this afternoon and moving out of our hair by the time the sun goes down tonight, so it'll be much quicker and they will move much faster. But I do suggest that while we're waiting for storms to pop up and roll through, make sure that you're charging your devices just in case power gets knocked out temporarily. Cover your pool, make sure your car is covered, just in case a storm does roll over your house this evening. Try to stay weather aware as things are always constantly changing. Now let's take a quick look at the 7-day. Things will be drying out tomorrow for your Thursday, and then Friday we do have another chance of rain. Things are cooling off a little bit for the weekend, but it looks like we'll be dry into next week. And that is my last forecast for OU Nightly. The past 4 years have been a blast, and thanks to everybody for watching.
Hi, it's Chloe Sparks again, reporting to you from my home in Sugar Land, Texas. Now I'm here to give you the latest and greatest in sports today. So let's start it off with the day as sports fans have all been waiting for since quarantine. It's just a day away, and it's the NFL Draft. It will begin tomorrow at 7 Central Time and conclude on Saturday. Now something different about this draft, besides OU getting the first pick, of course, is that it will all be virtual. Now last week I mentioned CeeDee Lamb, but OU linebacker Kenneth Murray is also a top selection for the draft. The Oklahoma linebacker is projected to be in the top 20 picks after finishing the 2019 season with 102 tackles. If Murray gets drafted first round, then he will be the first Oklahoma linebacker selected in the first round since Jackie Shipp in 1984.
Had it been his third year last year and he would have left, I don't think anybody would have been having conversations about him being a first-round draft pick. Not to say he wouldn't have been drafted, but I just don't think it would have been anywhere near that. And now, a guy that's, got a real great chance to be a first-round draft pick, and that's so hard to do.
Now, CD, K9, Jalen Hurts, and Neville Gallimore are all top contenders for the draft this year. Looking back at last year, though, Oklahoma had 4 players selected in the first 2 days for the first time since 2010 when 4 Sooners went in the first round. Now, one of those names, it might sound a little bit familiar. He was the number 1 overall pick, and you guessed it, it's Sam Bradford. On this day in 2010, OU's Heisman-winning QB joined the St. Louis Rams. In 2007, Bradford was a freshman All-American, and in 2008, he won the Heisman Trophy. How's that for a resume? Now to add on to that, in 2010, he was named NFL Rookie of the Year after leading the mediocre Rams to 7 wins with over 3,500 passing yards and a 60% completion rate. However, after suffering multiple knee injuries, Bradford couldn't seem to bounce back, ultimately cutting his pro career short while with the Cardinals in 2018. And it's Wednesday, you know what that means. It's time for Whiner of the Week. Draymond Green has had too much time on his hands this quarantine, and that became apparent when the Michael Jordan documentary sparked a fire in him to dig into the past with Kevin Durant. On the Uninterrupted podcast, Green shows his saltiness towards Durant after being more focused on free agency than on the Warriors in the 2018 basketball season. And while he might have been, let's hear what he has to say.
And then you kind of had Kevin, like, I don't know what I'm going to do next year. Like, and it don't matter, but it does matter because you're not the only person that has to answer that question. And to be quite frank with you, you're honestly the last person that has to answer the question because you don't really say, like, you don't say much to the media. If anything, you tell them to shut the fuck up. Well,
now I don't think this is the first time Green has been the Whiner of the Week, and judging off his built-up anger, I don't think it'll be the last either. Well, that's all we have time for on today's sports from my home in Sugar Land, Texas. I'm Chloe Sparks. Enjoy the draft and keep washing those hands.
Thanks, Chloe. Washington Nationals baseball star Ryan Zimmerman and his wife are raising money to help healthcare workers battling coronavirus. They started the Pros for Heroes COVID-19 Relief Fund, which provides personal protective equipment and meals to health workers at Inova Fairfax Hospital.
Easter weekend, Heather and I gave 150 meals a day to this specific ICU unit that was getting hit the most with COVID cases. And then last weekend, we ramped that up to 500 meals. And, we kind of have been able to do this with a collection of athletes around the DC area that have jumped on board. And, we've had over 1,400 people donate just in this area. So it's been fun to see the support from the community. And, anything we can do to help these frontline healthcare workers is huge right now.
The campaign met its initial goal of $250,000 and has since set a new goal of $500,000. Well, that about wraps up this online edition of OU Nightly, produced during the COVID-19 outbreak and brought to you by our team working remotely in both Oklahoma and Texas. This is our last week of Newscast for the semester, but be sure to follow us, OU Nightly, on social media and send us your story ideas. Reporting from Edmond, Oklahoma, I'm Tori King. Good night.